All right, friend. So we are doing one video a day here in 2025 for the first 100 days. And look, I'm away here in Mississippi at this Airbnb. I have my radio set up with me, so it's not even my normal setup. But guess what? We're getting it in. So today I want to talk with you about 4 lies that a guru has told you about real estate investing. Ain't this a fun topic to hit? Now, what is a guru? A lot of people have a lot of different opinions on what a guru is. But ultimately, guru is generally someone who is really in the business of education. At least how I see them. These are folks who are, selling courses, things like that. Now, it is not lost on me that I used to do group coaching and that I have workshops that I put on. I get it. Um, but I frequently say that I am not interested in building a business centered around education. Yes, I do these workshops. But I'll tell you in 2024, one real estate transaction that I did brought in more money than all of my workshop income combined. Now, some people are like, oh, well, Courtney, you're just bad at the education business. No, it's because it's not my priority. It's not my top source of income. It's not what I am, really trying to build as a huge business or anything like that. No, what am I building? I'm building my real estate portfolio. I'm building my estate, and that's where my focus is. So now, with that being said, a lot of you guys know that I ran a real estate investor meetup in the suburbs of New Orleans for years, for a long time. A lot of you guys know that I attend 6 to 10 different conferences a year. A lot of you guys know that I have a background in doing volume, and therefore I was a part of some masterminds with some of the bigger names in real estate throughout the country. So a lot of the big names throughout the country I've known because of that background. And I'll be honest, the gurus out there, social media, whatnot, that they're on there. Um, there's a lot of information that gets put out there, and I got some beef with it. So let's jump into it without further ado. Here are 4 lies a guru taught you about real estate. So the first one, it's that you can get rich quick. I mean, this is point blank one of the biggest things that kind of gets that not kind of it gets sold. It is this idea that, hey, buy this program and you'll start making money immediately. I'll be very honest with you. Real estate money takes time. So I see real estate money as twofold. You've got the real estate investment money, rentals, things like that. And then you've got real estate businesses, right? Wholesaling, flipping, things like that. Um, Investments take time to make money, and businesses take time to make money. And so anyone telling you you can get rich quick, really what they're showing you is that yes, we can make large sums of money, and usually they're lump sums. But I promise you, it takes a while before that money comes in. And that money can be inconsistent. So there's a feast or famine. And so it takes a long time for that money to be consistent. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to take you money to make that money. So, are you going to get rich? Are you, can real estate make you money? Yes. Can real estate make you money quickly? Very few occasions can real estate make you money quickly. I mean, let's just say you were wholesaling, and let's just say you learned about it on the internet today. You went driving around and you saw a for sale by owner sign that same day, and you somehow lucked out and that person was a prime, you know, motivated seller situation, and you locked that contract up and you somehow knew the perfect buyer. So the day you learned about it, the day you found a motivated seller, all of that, those generally are still going to take about 30 days to close. And so I don't know what you're calling quick. But then on top of that, I promise you, your first wholesale fee is not going to make you rich. Mine was $7,500. Even if you were to get a bigger hit, like a $70,000 assignment, I promise you that's not being rich. And so understand this. Most people though will see a $7,500 check and they'll say that's the biggest check I've ever seen at one time. They will see a $70,000 check and they'll say, "Oh my gosh, that is more than than what I make in a year or whatever. That's my year salary, right? And so it gets people getting really excited. And I promise you though, when it comes to real estate, it is not the avenue to get rich and to get rich quickly. Okay. Can you build wealth? Yes. Can you get rich over time eventually? Right. But be careful, because getting rich quickly with real estate is one of the lies that a guru told you. The second lie that a guru told you about real estate is that you should quit your job and do real estate full time. This is actually a pretty common concept in the real estate world. It's this idea that your job is the devil, that your job is the enemy, your job is holding you back. Do I believe that for some people that's true? Yes. But looking back on my own story, I actually wish I would have stayed at my job longer. Why? Because just like I said, so if you're building a real estate business, wholesaling, flipping, businesses take time for them to become steady. Again, you're going to have that feast or famine income. And so you might make 7,500 one month, and maybe let's just say you had 2,500 in expenses. So you netted 5,000, right? Are you going to keep that money? Are you going to invest it back into the business for your next deal? Right? Like those are some decisions you have to make. But maybe next month you don't make anything, and the next month you only make 1,000, and the next month you make 10,000. That's great. But then you don't make any more money for 2 more months. That can be some feast or famine. Again, all the while you may be spending money to make that money. So one of the biggest issues, so that's on the real estate, business side. One of the biggest issues I have is when people want to quit their job, what they're really leaving is stable income. Now, when I quit my job, I had savings, and look, I went through them. But I really had to sacrifice, and I really had to grind really, really hard. And I'll be very honest, while I was doing that, I racked up credit card debt because I was really having, again, I had to force it back, put that money back in the business to grow. I had to I had to keep investing money into the business so that I could keep growing the business so that the next deal would come. And ultimately that often led to where my salary, what I paid myself was very low, very, very low for years. It wasn't until really like last year, and really in 2024, I think that's the first time I had really increased my income. Other than that, I'd kept it really low. Um, and that's not something people like to hear, right? Because what did I do? Again, I was growing my business, and so the business needed that money to grow. And so there wasn't always a lot left over to pay to pay my salary. And so therefore, I was again having to use a credit card to pay for some of my living expenses, and that is something that I had to deal with as a bad habit. That was a bad financial decision. I mean, it was really, hey, let me go build this business, but on the side, not really have my living expenses covered. Um, so real estate money does take time. Again, if it's with real estate rentals, geez, those take even more time than a real estate business. So be mindful with that. Look, I understand what it's like to not like your job. I understand what it's like for that job to suck your soul out of you. I understand what it's like for it to cause burnout, and I understand what it's like for that job to not pay you enough, for it to be really stressful. All of that, but understand that that job can be a stepping stone. What assets? I'm sorry. What skill sets can you get from that job? I mean, my last job that I had was paramount. It gave me so many skill sets, and I'm so thankful that I was able to change the way I saw my job and said, "Hey, what what good can I do with this job?" Right? Some of you, your job can help you get bank financing to buy properties, right? Some of you, you can use. Look, my last job allowed me to get a home equity line of credit on one of my properties, and allowed me to qualify for that, and that allowed me to buy a few more deals than I could have, in the beginning. All right, so that, quitting your job. Do I think there's a point in which you need to say, "Hey, I am I am quantifiably losing money because I'm here at my job, and it is a significant amount more than my salary. And this is like, hey, I couldn't go walk that appointment because I was at my job, and therefore someone else bought that property, and at a number I would have bought it at, da, 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 stuff like that, right? And once the income is consistent on the real estate business side or the real estate investment side, should you suggest and think through really leaving your job? So, but that is a very common one. Why? Because what does that speak to, right? The first lie of getting rich quick, it speaks to income insecurity, right? People like, oh, well, I want to be rich. And so therefore they latch on to that. The second lie of, quitting your job and doing real estate full time, what does that speak to? It speaks to people who are in a job that they hate. And so people really latch on to that. The third lie a guru told you is that you don't need any money to do real estate. Ooh, wee. So a lot of I'm a creative real estate investor. Plenty of times, almost all of the time, do I do a deal with none of my own money. But here's what's really important. There is a distinction between, can you do real estate without any of your own money? And then the other part of that is, should you not, can you do real estate without having money? Right? And should you? So let's break that down. You see, a lot of people latch on to this lie because why? They say, hey, I really want to be in real estate and do real estate, but I don't actually have any money. So it's kind of like a yes, but no. Like, yes, technically you can do real estate without your own money. But should you is more the question. Understand that a real estate business, but I'm going to speak more to real estate investing. Real estate investing is not a financial life raft. An investment should happen once you are financially stable, then you can invest, right? Investing is to improve your future, right? So you should have some stability, financial stability today before you start investing. I think you need to define that for yourself. I'm not sitting here and saying you need to have all your debts paid off. You need to have no personal debt. And you need to have a savings of 6 months in your emergency fund before you start investing. I'm not setting that criteria, but I think it's important to understand that real estate should not be, especially investments, should not be what you use to dig yourself out of a hole. Now, let's talk about real estate businesses. Real estate businesses, a business takes time to build. We've been talking about this, right? And so, can you get into a business and really, have a low capital amount up front and really just hustle and grind? Yeah, it's going to be a lot harder. I'll be very honest. And then, when you start getting that money, you're going to be tempted to use that money again to pay your bills or to pay your debts or whatever that looks like. But in order for that business to grow, you're going to have to reinvest into it, right? That's why they say startups take time. Well, that's what you're doing in a flipping or wholesaling company. Those are startups. And so real estate, whether it's a business or an investment, should not be considered a financial life raft, meaning, hey, this is going to solve all my money problems. It won't. I'll be very honest. If real estate, the business or the investment side, spits off money in your direction, it will only amplify what already exists there. So, for example, if you have bad money habits, and let's just say you make money in real estate, let's just say you make $20,000 on a real estate deal early on. If you have bad money habits, that 20,000 is just going to amplify your bad money habits. Meaning, if you're not disciplined, where you're able to take that money and, whether it's, if you're not disciplined enough with the small amount of money that you give you, if God grants you the blessing of getting a larger sum, I promise you that those good habits will not come out of thin air just because money showed up on your doorstep from a deal. And so it's important to understand this, that real estate is not the solution to your money problems, right? Financial literacy is, right? Sound wisdom and discipline is, right? And so a check coming your way will not solve those problems. And so there's a level, can you do real estate without money? Having your own money? Yes, but no. There's a level that, yes, you can do them, but be careful. If you go and buy, for example, you learn creative financing and you buy some rentals with little to no money out of your own pocket. Can you do that skill set wise? Number one, you're going to have to improve, get those skill sets, learn how to do it. It's not that easy to get that. It's doable. It's simple. It's not rocket science, but it's not easy. But on the other end of it, let's just say you learn the skill sets, right? You become a student, you learn, and you buy a rental and you get into that rental with little to no money thanks to, let's just say you buy it subject to. Well, what if the water heater breaks and it's going to cost you $1,000 to replace it? If you do not have that money, if you do not have that money or access to that money, who's going to suffer? Ultimately, your tenant who's living in there is going to suffer, right? So be careful choosing a strategy, choosing a strategy that is dependent on you having reserves. So maybe it's not that the tenant's water heater breaks. Maybe it's that the tenant can't pay this month, but you bought it subject to and it's tied to a seller's credit. Well, if the tenant's not paying, you're the one who made the promise that you said you would make the payment on their behalf to protect their credit, right? So you need to be able to handle your promises. And so again, be careful jumping into strategies that require you, for example, to have reserves for vacancy or repairs. So rentals, various things like that. I promise you, I promise you that unexpectedly those things will come up. None of us plan for when we have a vacancy, a tenant stop playing, or a repair come up. And so there's a level that you have to not only just have a plan for acquisition, but you need to have a plan for management. So again, getting into real estate with no money, can you do it? Yes, but no. It's really more a yes, you can, but should you is a bigger question. And that has to do with ethics, which is a topic that unfortunately I feel like I'm beating, beating the drum on. So why do people again latch onto that? They latch onto that lie because they're like, hey, I want to build this idea of generational wealth. I want to own real estate. I want to get into real estate, but I don't have any money. And so there's this level there where it's oft, again, going back to it, I think they cling to it because it's financial insecurity. And therefore, this idea of owning real estate is this idea of security. Not everyone who owns real estate keeps it, right? Think about it. There are plenty of people, let me say this, every single deal that I ever bought from a motivated seller, they somehow managed to buy that property or inherit it to acquire it, right? So whether they inherited it, they bought it, whatever, but they did not get to keep it because they mismanaged it. And so that is the important part here. Owning is not enough. So can you own real estate without your own money? Yes. They don't tell you though, can you keep it without your own money? And that unfortunately is the third lie that a guru has told you about real estate. The fourth lie is that everyone should do 100 deals, that everyone should scale, scale, scale. You should own 1,000 rentals. Man, haven't you heard that? When I got started, I feel like that was the only voices I was hearing was this, this concept, all the squeakiest wheels were the guys on the internet saying, you got to scale, scale, scale. You have to delegate. You have to automate. You have to hire. You've got to build, build, build this big thing, right? If you're not aiming to do 100 deals, you're not being successful. You're not, you're not doing this right. And then on the rental side is, hey, if you don't own a lot of properties, that it almost was like the more properties you own, the more successful you were. I think this is a lie because at the end of the day, not everyone should scale. Not everyone should own a lot of properties. You want to know what? I think the better message is that more people would benefit from owning 5 rentals. 5, not 5,000. That wasn't a typo, not 500, not 50, 5. I think 5 would be more life changing for most people than 500. Because at the end of the day, number one, you can buy average houses in average areas and rent them to average families for average rents and build an enormous amount of wealth over time. But five doesn't sound sexy, right? It doesn't sound sexy, but guess what? There's plenty of people who've had a smaller amount of rentals and it has impacted their life significantly. Doing deals, again, you don't have to do 100 deals a year. You could do one deal a year and it impacts you and your family's life. So why do I call out these different well, let me say this, why do people latch on to that? And I say it's a lie, but the reality is it may be true for some people, but it's really going to be true for a small subsect, right? And so, can you do 100 deals? Can you own 1,000 properties? Yes. The question is, should you? And I think at the end of the day, most gurus are really, out there. They're almost pitching a beautiful picture, and the sexier they can make it, the better that they can cast the vision, that the more people who want to buy into it, the more products they'll sell, the more courses, the more students that they'll get. But the reality here is that not everyone should own a lot of properties, right? Between the difficulty of acquiring them, but also the difficulty of managing them, right? At the same time, you can do a small amount of deals and it still be very impactful for your family. No, you don't need money to do a real estate transaction. But in order to continuously keep the real estate that you're acquiring or to build the business, you do have to have money, right? You could quit your job. And at some point, I hope real estate gives you that benefit. But it especially should not be something you should do very early on, or it should be something that's very calculated for you to do. And no, real estate's not going to get you rich quick. And if you're seeking to become rich, I'll be very honest, I'm not the person for you. I want to talk about how you can build wealth. One of my favorite mentors wrote a book called Building Wealth One House at a Time. Boy, that's not sexy because people don't like doing things, one at a time. They're trying to get the microwave approach. They're trying to say, hey, how fast can I do this? I don't care about the first step. I want to know, what's the fastest way I can do this, right? And guess what? It sure is fun going fast, but guess what? Um, so many people have tried to do the biggest thing. They can't even do the simplest things. It's that idea of people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 5 or 10 years. So my friends, I'm here to tell you, you can build wealth one house at a time. Yes, you can learn skills on how to buy real estate with none of your own money. But in order to keep them, in order to do another deal and to continuously do deals, you're going to need to have some, money of your own. You're going to need to have some financial principles that guide your life so that you can, if real estate pops off and gives you, for example, a big check or even a smaller check, those founding principles of about finances and things like that is what's going to guide you, and it's either going to make or break you. You'll either stay in this game or fizzle out. And look, I'll be the first to say a lot of people have fizzled out of this game and in real estate because they are chasing the wrong metrics. If you're trying to do anything, get rich quick, if you're trying to all of this is very short-sighted thinking. I want you to think long term. The people who stick around are the long-term thinkers, and the people who fizzle out are the short-term thinkers. So look, at the end of the day, if you're wanting to do this real estate game, I want to encourage you. Who you learn from matters, right? What you're attracted to, the things that you're looking at. Look, if all you chase are is the people with the fancy cars who are showing off the bling and the big houses, I want you to be very careful because yeah, that stuff is sexy and it sells, but guess what? You want to know what actually creates wealth? The boring, mundane task. Y'all, success leaves clues, and I promise you, it's not 14 karat. I promise you, It's not a luxury car. The clues that success leaves is that it takes consistent action in the right direction. And that, I promise you, real estate can build you a powerful financial future. But you've got to take the right proper steps. And a lot of times I find that there's so many people who are selling a dream only because people want to buy the dream. And guess what? The results are sold separate. So all they have to do is sell you the dream and they're going to make money, not you. That's it for my video today. Those are 4 lies that I believe gurus have told you about real estate investing. And at the end of the day, don't forget, guys, if you've enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts below as always, but I'm doing 1 video a day for the first 100 days of 2025. And I'm trying to give it to you real. I'm trying to give it to you practical. And I'm trying to inspire you and give you something tactical. So thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you.